Hi, I'm Sean Wilson here for the Men of the Mount, and I get to discuss this Sunday's Gospel. And this Sunday we have the second Sunday of Lent. And normally on the second Sunday of Lent we hear the story of the Transfiguration. This year it's from St. Mark's Gospel, which is a bit fascinating because St. Mark, he's in the midst of talking about all the sufferings of Jesus. Jesus is telling his disciples that he is going to go to Jerusalem. He's going to be handed over, he's going to be crucified, died, and then eventually on the third day he'll rise from the dead. Then, of course, we get the kicker from St. Mark that he tells his apostles, you've got to pick up your crosses and follow me. You too have to follow me along this path. But in the midst of all of this, amidst of three predictions of his passion, Jesus takes Peter, James, and John with him up Mount Tabor. It's a serious climb of a mountain, straight up, tough climb. And they get to the top, and Jesus is revealed in all of his glory. His clothes are shown so bright that Mark tells us nothing on earth could bleach them any brighter. Absolutely incredible to just think of that and just realize that we really have no images to wrap our mind around the glory of the Lord. But for me, though, one of the most fascinating things is the little conversation they have as they're coming down the hill. So as they're coming down this mountain, Jesus turns to them and tells them that they aren't to tell anybody. They're not to tell anybody what they've seen until he rises from the dead. And the apostles are kind of like, what does it mean that he's going to rise from the dead? But they obey Jesus. St. Mark tells us that they don't tell anybody, which is really kind of strange, because 2 weeks ago, when we're still in ordinary time, we get another reading from Mark's Gospel. And this man is the leper, and Jesus heals the leper, and then he takes the leper aside and says, go show yourself to the priest, but don't tell anybody. And what does the guy do? He goes and he just blabs. He tells absolutely everybody. So we've got to compare a little contrast here. We've got the apostles in our gospel for this Sunday in the Transfiguration, where they don't say anything. And then we have the leper from 2 weeks ago, and the leper goes out and tells everybody. We have to ask ourselves, what's going on? What's the difference between these guys? And I think we can see ourselves in both of those. In the leper who's cleansed, this is his first encounter with Jesus. And he is so absolutely excited that he has to go out and tell everybody. He doesn't have much to build on, but he has this encounter. And it's so riveting, so captivating that the healed leper now goes and tells everybody he encounters. The question I have, though, is what happened to this leper? We don't hear anything about him. The apostles, on the other hand, they have come to know Jesus. Peter has already given his great confession as to who Jesus is, that we've come to know that you are the Messiah, the Son of God. That they have come to believe, they've taken the time to get to know Jesus, they've listened to his words, they've come to believe that he's the Savior, the Redeemer of all mankind. And when Jesus tells them they're not to tell anybody, they just obey. Simple. They don't ask questions, they're confused. But as they begin to gain understanding, they definitely don't have it all yet, but they begin to understand Jesus. And I think that's true for us. Sometimes we have those moments where right when we begin to follow the Lord, that we're just so excited. Everything's new, and that's the way it should be. It's like a young person who just met the love of his life, who just wants to show everybody and tell everybody. But then in the apostles, we begin to see almost like an elderly couple who has known each other for 60 years, been married for 60 years, and they don't have to have the excitement. All they know is that the one that they love is with them, and they will follow, they will love them. And that's what our apostles are showing us. And that's our relationship with Jesus, that begins with fireworks, but eventually those fireworks will kind of fade. And then we're asked, just will you follow Jesus in the day in and day out grind? And it's not easy, but our apostles show us that it's worth it, that you're not going to have all the answers. but the beauty of following Jesus Christ is always there. And eventually, we know that Peter, James, and John are going to give their lives completely to the Lord. James and Peter are martyred. John lives out his life in a beautiful way. So that's the challenge of the gospel for us today. The challenge is, will we follow the Lord in a deep way, not just something on the surface, but will we let the love of Jesus Christ penetrate deep into who we are, just like the apostles? And it's from there that we'll be able to go out and share his love with the rest of the world.